So I just wanted to provide you with a really quick tutorial on the basics of using Microsoft Forms. If you're not familiar with it, when you log into Office 365, you should see an option for Forms, which will then bring you to this page that you're looking at now. And Forms is essentially a way to create a digital quiz, test, or poll and send it out to recipients, and then you will be able to look at responses and get feedback. So when you land on this page, you're going to see two different options here, New Quiz and New Form, and you have to be careful with which one you select. New Quiz is what's going to allow you to pre-select the correct choices in the case of where you're doing a multiple choice type of question. A form is more like a poll, so while it will look very similar to a quiz, it's not going to allow you to pre-select any correct choices because as a poll there is none. And if you accidentally start creating a quiz by clicking on this one, there is no way to transfer that over to a quiz format. You will have to redo it, so just be careful. We've all made that mistake once. So when you want to get started, you click on New Quiz and you'll be presented with this page, and you just click inside this box to add a title to your quiz, and below it where it says enter a description, you don't have to put anything in here, but this is where you might want to put directions as to what you want the students to do. And it can be as simple as, please complete this quiz and then click submit at the bottom in order to get a grade. All right, so in order to get started with this, you're just going to click on Add New, and that's going to give you these choices. What kind of question do you want to insert into your quiz? The first one being a multiple choice question, which is a standard multiple choice question. You put in your question, you'll be able to put as many choices as you want, and you'll be able to pre-select a correct choice. Texts can be in the form of a short answer or a long answer type of question. Just keep in mind that that's something that has to be manually graded. The system is not going to automatically grade it for you. You have rating scales, you have selecting a correct date, and there's some other ones in this drop down which we're really not going to cover because for the most part, most people are going to be concentrating on these two. So let's get started with a multiple choice question. All you need to do is click on choice, and then you will be presented with this so that you can start typing in your question and your answer choices. So you will type in your question here, and then you will put in your answer choices. If you need more answer choices, you can click add an option. It usually presents you with two initials, and you can add as many as you want. Now you notice when I hover my mouse alongside all the choices, I get some icons here, and that's to either delete a choice or to leave feedback for a particular choice. So if they select the correct answer and you want to leave feedback, or an incorrect answer and you want to leave feedback, you can do so. But the most important thing is to click on the check mark next to the correct answer so that this is graded automatically. A few things you'll see below here is point value. So if you do want to count this as a quiz or a test and assign a point value, you would put that in here. For the first question, you have to put it in, and then as you add additional questions, it will automatically fill in that same point value. The one thing you do want to make sure that you click initially, especially for this first question, is to change this over to required. By default, questions are not required, and this could cause an issue. If students accidentally skip a question and click submit, it will automatically be marked incorrect. So as soon as you click required on one question, by default, with each new additional questions that you add, the required will stay on, but just double check that. And then over here where these little three dots are, you have a few other options. You'll see the first one is shuffle options. So what that does is it shuffles all of the answer choices so that if you are in a more of a testing mode and you don't want all the answers to be in the same order for each student, you can click on that. You can change how the answers appear using drop down. For those of you who teach math, there is a math toolbar in here, so if you need to put in answer choices that include fractions or math symbols, etc., you can put that in here. And the rest of this we're not going to cover right now. So that's basically how you create your initial multiple choice question. The rest is pretty repetitive. You click on Add New, you select your choice. I'll just click on a text question just so you can see what it looks like. So you will have, again, the same thing, an area where you put in the question. Enter your answer here. If you want to change this to long answer, because right now it's short answer, which reduces the amount of characters that are allowed for the students to type, you can change this to long answer, and you see the box gets a little bit bigger. You'll notice the point value is automatically assigned based on the first question. Required is also automatically on now for each additional question, and again you have other options over here as well. So once you have built your quiz and you're ready for this to be shown and displayed to students, a couple of things that you need to do. First thing I would do before I even send this out is click preview, and this will just show you what the quiz is going to look like on the recipient's end. So get out of preview, you can click back. Now you're ready to share this with students. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on this share button. You're going to see here, by default, usually it says only people in my organization can respond. We click on here. The only other option is anyone with a link can respond, and that's only if you were going to send this quiz to somebody outside of our domain. So you can generally just leave it on here. A couple of other things that you want to click on. This is the link to your quiz, but you also want to check to make sure some of the other settings are correct. So next to the share button, you will click on those three dots over here, and you can click on settings. And you're going to get some other options that might be of vital importance to you. So who can fill out this form? Only people in my organization can respond. Do you want it to record the name, which we do? One response per person. So if you don't want the students to be able to take this more than once, make sure that you check this. If this is something that they're using for review and you want them to be able to take it over and over again to improve their score, then you can uncheck that. Options for responses. You could set a start date and end date so that it's not available after a certain date. That's totally up to you. Do you want the questions to be shuffled? That's another option. You can have a customized thank you message. These are just some other features that you do or do not have to mess with, but I would just double check them to make sure that they are to your liking. Okay, so once you're done adjusting any of these settings from this little ellipse here, we're going to go back over to share. We're going to click this link, copy. So now this link can be pasted right into OneNote, Edmodo, however you normally distribute digital resources to your students. So if I flip over to OneNote, let's say, and I want the students to take this quiz, and I can paste this link right in, you will notice that Forms actually embeds directly into a OneNote page, which means the students can take this within the confines of their notebook and not actually have to jump outside of the notebook. And it comes out a little bit small, but you can, and so can the students, you can adjust all of this stuff as well, I believe. But if the box remains small and the students want it to appear bigger, they can always click on this link, and then it will open up into the full browser and they'll be able to see it. But there is a scroll bar and they can fill this out directly in here, which is great. Once students have started submitting their responses, you will see the responses over here show up. So let me just go to a quiz where I already have some responses. So if I click over here, you can see I have 19 responses, so it will give you a count as to how many students have participated. And you can click on here, and then you can get a breakdown of how the students did on each question. You can open up an Excel spreadsheet and get even additional information. And if you click on more details next to each question, you will see how each student did on each one of those questions. And that's really it in a nutshell. There are other features that you can play around with in Forms in some of the other tutorials that I have that goes into a little bit more deeper explanation. But to get started, these are the basic things that I think you need to know.